In a peaceful garden where flowers nodded softly in the evening breeze, there lived a small white rabbit named Cotton and a wise old turtle named Sage. The garden was their special place, filled with tall, swaying grass that whispered gentle secrets and sweet-smelling lavender that helped everyone feel calm and peaceful. Cotton the rabbit loved to hop among the flowers, his soft white fur catching the golden light of sunset. Sage the turtle enjoyed taking slow, peaceful walks through the garden paths, admiring each flower and leaf along the way. They were the very best of friends, even though they moved at different speeds. One quiet evening, as purple shadows began to stretch across the garden, Cotton had a wonderful idea. "Dear friend Sage," he said softly, "would you like to play a gentle game of hide-and-seek?" Sage smiled warmly at his energetic friend and nodded slowly. "That sounds lovely," he replied in his calm, peaceful voice. Cotton offered to be the seeker first. He settled himself beneath a large, friendly oak tree and began to count slowly and steadily. 1, 2, 3. He counted, while Sage moved unhurriedly through the garden. The evening air was sweet with the scent of jasmine, and somewhere nearby, a dove cooed softly. Sage walked thoughtfully through the garden, considering all the peaceful places where he might rest. He passed the pond, where water lilies floated like tiny boats on the still surface. He wandered by the rose bushes, their petals closing gently for the night. Finally, he found the perfect spot behind a patch of tall, soft grasses that swayed like dancers in the evening breeze. When Cotton finished counting, he opened his eyes and looked around the tranquil garden. The setting sun painted everything in soft shades of gold and pink. He hopped quietly along the path, his ears swaying gently as he moved. Where could Sage be? He wondered softly to himself. Cotton looked behind the old stone wall, where moss grew in thick, velvet patches. He peeked beneath the branches of the weeping willow tree, whose leaves draped down like a curtain of green rain. He checked near the butterfly bush, where the last few butterflies of the day were settling down to rest. As he searched, Cotton noticed so many peaceful things he hadn't seen before. He saw a family of sleepy birds nestling into their cozy nest. He spotted dewdrops beginning to form on spider webs that sparkled like strings of tiny stars. He heard the gentle rustle of leaves in the evening breeze, making a soft lullaby. Finally, Cotton approached the patch of tall grasses. Moving very quietly, he saw the outline of his friend's shell among the green stems. "I found you, Sage," he whispered with a gentle smile. Sage emerged slowly, looking peaceful and content. "What a lovely hiding spot you found," Cotton said softly. Now it was Sage's turn to seek. Cotton watched as his friend made his way to the counting tree, moving with slow, steady steps. Sage began to count in his deep, calming voice, and Cotton hopped away to hide, being careful not to rush or make sudden movements. Cotton found a cozy spot beneath a flowering bush, where soft petals dropped down like snow around him. He could smell the sweet perfume of the flowers and feel the cool earth beneath his paws. As he waited, he watched the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky, twinkling like gentle night lights. Sage moved through the garden with peaceful purpose, taking time to appreciate every detail along his way. He noticed how the evening primrose was opening its yellow petals to greet the moon. He paused to watch a gentle breeze make the flowers dance. He smiled at the sight of fireflies beginning to float through the air like tiny drifting stars. As Sage searched, he remembered all of Cotton's favorite places in the garden. He checked the herb patch, where the mint and thyme released their soothing scents into the evening air. He looked near the old garden bench, where they often sat together to watch the sunset. He peered behind the stone bird bath, where morning doves came to splash and play. Eventually, Sage's patient searching led him to the flowering bush. There he found Cotton, curled up comfortably among the fallen petals. "Found you, dear friend," Sage said softly, his voice as gentle as the evening itself. Cotton emerged with a peaceful smile, covered in soft pink petals that made him look like a flower himself. As the night grew deeper and the moon rose higher, Cotton and Sage sat together on their favorite garden bench. They watched as more and more stars appeared in the velvet sky, and fireflies danced like floating dreams around them. The garden was filled with the gentle sounds of crickets singing their evening lullaby. "Thank you for playing with me, Sage," Cotton whispered, feeling warm and content beside his friend. "Sometimes the slowest games are the most wonderful." Sage nodded wisely. "And sometimes," he added in his soothing voice, "taking time to move slowly helps us see the most beautiful things." As the night wrapped its gentle arms around the garden, Cotton and Sage made their way to their homes. Cotton to his soft burrow lined with downy feathers and flower petals, and Sage to his cozy shelter beneath the old oak tree. They both fell asleep feeling peaceful and happy, knowing that sometimes the quietest moments with friends are the most special of all. The garden settled into its nighttime peace, with flowers nodding their sleepy heads and stars twinkling their gentle light. And if you listened very carefully, you might hear the soft whisper of the evening breeze, telling the story of a rabbit and turtle who knew that the best games are played with gentle hearts and peaceful spirits. In a peaceful meadow, where soft grass swayed in the evening breeze, there lived two very different friends, a tortoise named Theodore and a hare named Henry. Theodore loved taking slow, peaceful walks as the sun began to set, while Henry usually preferred to hop and skip through his days. But on this particular evening, something wonderful was about to happen. The air was warm and sweet with the scent of wildflowers, and fluffy clouds drifted lazily across the sky like cotton balls floating in a sea of soft blue. Theodore was just beginning his evening walk when he spotted Henry sitting quietly under an old oak tree, looking thoughtful. "Good evening, Henry," Theodore said in his gentle voice. "Would you like to join me for a peaceful walk? The evening is so beautiful." Henry looked up at his friend with a soft smile, and for the first time, he didn't feel the urge to rush around. "I would love that, Theodore," Henry replied softly. "I've been thinking that maybe it would be nice to slow down and notice all the lovely things around us." Theodore's eyes crinkled with joy as Henry hopped over to join him. Together, they began their walk along a winding path through the meadow. Theodore showed Henry how to pause and notice the little wonders they passed. They watched as butterflies danced among the flowers, their wings painted in gentle shades of purple and blue. The friends stopped to admire how the evening light made the dewdrops sparkle like tiny stars on the grass. As they walked, Theodore and Henry discovered that moving slowly allowed them to see so many beautiful things they had never noticed before. They saw a family of mice making their cozy nest with soft pieces of grass and downy feathers. They watched as a gentle breeze made the flowers bow and sway, in a peaceful dance. "Listen," Theodore whispered as they paused beneath a willow tree. "Can you hear the lullaby of the evening?" Henry closed his eyes and listened. He could hear the soft rustling of leaves, the quiet chirping of crickets beginning their evening song, and the gentle murmur of a nearby stream. The two friends continued their walk as the sky began to change colors. Soft pink and purple clouds floated overhead, and the first stars began to twinkle. A mother bird flew overhead, heading back to her nest, where her babies waited, cozy and warm. Theodore and Henry came to a peaceful pond where water lilies floated like little boats on the surface. The water reflected the sky like a mirror, making it seem as though they were walking through the stars themselves. A family of ducks glided silently across the water, creating gentle ripples that spread out in perfect circles. "I never knew walking slowly could be so wonderful," Henry said softly, watching as a firefly drifted past, its gentle light blinking like a tiny lantern. Theodore smiled warmly at his friend. "Sometimes the most beautiful things can only be seen when we take our time," he replied. As they walked, the evening grew softer and quieter. The moon rose like a silver pearl in the darkening sky, casting a gentle glow over the meadow. More fireflies began to appear, twinkling like earthbound stars among the grass and flowers. They passed beneath trees where owls were just awakening, their soft hooting adding to the evening's peaceful symphony. The friends watched as bats flew gracefully overhead, their wings making no sound as they danced through the twilight air. The path led them through a grove of ancient trees, their branches reaching up to the star-filled sky like gentle guardians. Moss grew soft and thick beneath their feet, making each step feel like walking on clouds. The air was filled with the sweet scent of night-blooming flowers. As the evening deepened, Theodore and Henry found themselves walking closer together, sharing the peaceful quiet of the night. They didn't need to speak much now. They simply enjoyed each other's company and the gentle beauty around them. They came to a small clearing carpeted with soft grass and surrounded by nodding flowers. "This seems like a perfect place to rest," Theodore suggested gently. Henry agreed, and they settled down together, looking up at the stars that now filled the sky like scattered diamond dust. The night air grew cooler, but it was still gentle and sweet. Crickets chirped their lullaby, and a soft breeze carried the scent of lavender and chamomile. Henry found himself yawning, feeling more peaceful than he had ever felt before. "Thank you for showing me how to slow down and enjoy the evening," Henry whispered to his friend. Theodore smiled softly. "And thank you for being such wonderful company," he replied. As they rested together in the clearing, they watched the stars twinkle and the moon sail slowly across the sky. The gentle sounds of the night wrapped around them like a warm blanket, and they felt completely at peace. The two friends stayed there, sharing the quiet joy of the evening, until their eyes grew heavy with sleep. They knew that this peaceful walk had changed something between them, creating a deeper friendship built on sharing life's gentle moments. And as the night grew deeper and the moon continued its quiet journey across the star-filled sky, Theodore and Henry drifted off to sleep, knowing that sometimes the most precious moments come when we learn to slow down and appreciate the peaceful beauty that surrounds us. In a peaceful forest pond, where silver moonlight danced on gentle ripples, there lived two unlikely friends, a small green turtle named Timothy and a soft gray rabbit called Luna. Every evening they would meet by the water's edge, where water lilies swayed softly in the breeze and crickets sang their sweet lullabies. Timothy loved floating in the cool, clear water, letting the gentle current rock him back and forth like a cradle. Luna, with her fluffy fur and twitching nose, preferred sitting on the mossy bank, dipping just her paws in the refreshing pool, while watching the stars appear one by one in the darkening sky. One peaceful evening, as the sun was setting and painting the clouds in soft shades of pink and purple, Luna watched Timothy gliding through the water with such grace. The rabbit felt a gentle stirring of curiosity in her heart. "Timothy," she whispered, not wanting to disturb the evening's tranquility, "would you teach me to swim like you do?" Timothy smiled warmly at his friend, his eyes twinkling like the first evening stars. "Of course, dear Luna. The water is so peaceful at night, and I would love to share its gentle embrace with you." He slowly paddled to the edge where Luna sat, creating tiny ripples that spread out in perfect circles across the moonlit surface. Together, they began with simple floating exercises in the shallow water. Timothy showed Luna how to let the water support her, just as the soft grass supported her when she rested in the meadow. "Feel the water holding you," Timothy would say softly, "just like a cozy blanket wrapped around you on a cool evening." Night after night, Luna learned to trust the water more and more. She discovered that when she moved slowly and calmly, like the gentle evening breeze, the water became her friend. Timothy stayed close by, his presence as reassuring as the constant stars above them. As Luna grew more confident, she suggested something that made Timothy smile. "Shall we have a special kind of race?" she asked. "Not to see who's fastest, but to see who can swim the most peacefully across the pond." Timothy thought this was a wonderful idea, for he knew that sometimes the most beautiful journeys are the ones taken slowly. On the night of their peaceful race, the moon was full and round, casting a silver pathway across the water. Fireflies hovered above the surface like tiny floating stars, and the evening flowers released their sweet, sleepy fragrance into the air. "Remember," Timothy said gently, "this is not about being first. It's about finding your own peaceful rhythm." Luna nodded, her eyes soft with understanding. Together, they slipped into the cool water, creating barely a ripple as they began their tranquil journey across the pond. Luna moved her paws slowly through the water, remembering all that Timothy had taught her about staying calm and relaxed. Timothy swam beside her, his steady presence like a floating leaf in a gentle stream. They moved together through the quiet water, watching the moonlight play on the surface and listening to the soft symphony of evening sounds. As they swam, they noticed beautiful things they had never seen before. Water lilies that seemed to glow in the moonlight, tiny silver fish that danced beneath them, and the way the stars reflected in the still parts of the pond, creating a mirror of the night sky below. Neither Luna nor Timothy thought about who was ahead or behind. Instead, they focused on the peaceful feeling of floating through the cool water, of being carried by its gentle embrace. They took time to float on their backs and gaze at the stars, letting the water rock them gently like a mother's arms. When they finally reached the other side of the pond, they couldn't remember who had arrived first, and it didn't matter at all. They sat together on a soft patch of moss, Luna's fur dripping little diamonds of water, Timothy's shell gleaming in the moonlight. "Thank you for teaching me," Luna whispered, her eyes growing heavy with peaceful tiredness. "I never knew that moving slowly could feel so wonderful." Timothy nodded, feeling just as sleepy and content. "Sometimes," he murmured, "the most beautiful moments come when we take time to simply float along with life's gentle current." As the night grew deeper and the stars twinkled more brightly, Luna and Timothy rested side by side, listening to the lullaby of the evening pond. The crickets sang softly, the breeze whispered through the reeds, and somewhere in the distance, an owl cooed a gentle goodnight song. From that night on, Luna and Timothy often swam together in the moonlit pond, never racing, but always sharing in the peaceful joy of moving through the cool, clear water at their own perfect pace. And as they floated beneath the starry sky, they knew they had discovered something more precious than any race could offer: the gift of finding peace in life's gentle moments. As the moon continued its journey across the night sky, the pond grew ever more still, and the two friends drifted into peaceful dreams, carried by the memory of their tranquil swim. And so, like the quiet pond reflecting the stars above, their hearts reflected the peaceful beauty of taking life slowly, one gentle stroke at a time. In a peaceful meadow, where wildflowers swayed softly in the evening breeze, there lived a wise old turtle named Theodore and a gentle rabbit named Luna. Theodore loved to take slow, peaceful walks through the meadow, feeling the soft grass beneath his feet, while Luna enjoyed finding cozy spots to rest among the sweet-smelling flowers. One quiet evening, as golden sunlight painted the sky in soft shades of pink and orange, Theodore discovered an old, weathered map floating on a gentle breeze. The map showed a path through their familiar meadow, leading to what it called nature's treasure. Luna hopped over curiously, her movements as gentle as falling leaves. "Shall we follow the map together, dear friend?" Theodore asked in his soft, unhurried voice. Luna nodded with a peaceful smile, and so began their gentle adventure. They agreed to walk together, sharing the journey at a comfortable pace that suited them both. The first part of their path led through a field of dandelions, their fluffy white seeds drifting lazily through the air like tiny floating stars. Theodore and Luna paused often to admire the beauty around them, watching as butterflies danced from flower to flower, their wings catching the warm evening light. As they walked, Theodore would count their steps in a soothing rhythm. 1, 2, 3, gentle and slow. 4, 5, 6, the perfect way to go. Luna found herself swaying to the peaceful rhythm of Theodore's counting, feeling more relaxed with each step they took. The path then guided them into a quiet forest, where tall trees created a canopy of softly rustling leaves overhead. Patches of moonlight filtered through the branches, creating pools of silver light on the forest floor. The air was filled with the gentle sound of crickets beginning their evening song. "Listen to the forest lullaby," whispered Luna, her long ears swaying gently in the cool evening breeze. Theodore smiled, taking in the peaceful symphony of nature around them. They passed by sleeping flowers that were closing their petals for the night, and saw stars beginning to twinkle through the leaves above. Following the map, they came to a small stream where water trickled over smooth stones, creating a melody that seemed to sing them to sleep. They paused here to rest, watching the water's gentle dance in the moonlight. Theodore showed Luna how to breathe slowly and deeply, just like the rhythm of the flowing stream. As they continued their journey, they found themselves walking through a grove of lavender, its sweet scent filling the air with drowsy contentment. Fireflies began to appear, their soft lights blinking like tiny lanterns guiding their way. Luna and Theodore took turns counting the fireflies, their numbers becoming jumbled as they felt more and more relaxed. The map led them to the top of a small, grassy hill, where they could see the entire meadow bathed in moonlight. "Look," Theodore said softly, pointing to something gleaming in the grass. There, nestled among the flowers, was a crystal that captured the moonlight and scattered it in rainbow colors. But as they gazed at the crystal, they realized something wonderful. The true treasure wasn't the crystal itself, but the peaceful journey they had shared. The quiet moments of friendship, the gentle discoveries, and the soothing sounds of nature had been the real gift all along. Luna curled up next to Theodore, feeling safe and content. "Sometimes the slowest journeys bring the sweetest dreams," she murmured sleepily. Theodore nodded, his eyes growing heavy as he watched the stars twinkle above. Together, they decided to make this hilltop their special place. Every evening, they would return to watch the sunset and count the stars as they appeared, one by one, in the velvet sky. Sometimes they would remember their gentle treasure hunt, but mostly they would simply enjoy the peace of being together. As the moon rose higher in the sky, casting its soft silver light over the meadow, Theodore and Luna felt their eyes growing heavier. The evening breeze sang a quiet lullaby through the grass, and the fireflies danced their slow, peaceful dance around them. The two friends found that the greatest treasure of all was the peaceful feeling in their hearts, knowing they had each other to share quiet evenings with. As they drifted off to sleep on their hilltop under a blanket of stars, they knew that sometimes the most precious things couldn't be found on any map. They were the gentle moments shared between true friends. And so, Theodore and Luna slept peacefully on their hilltop, surrounded by the soft sounds of the night, while the moon watched over them with its gentle silver smile. The crystal beside them caught the starlight and scattered tiny rainbows around them, like sweet dreams taking flight on silent wings. In a peaceful meadow, where morning dew sparkled like tiny stars on soft grass, there lived two dear friends, a small, fluffy rabbit named Cotton and a wise, gentle turtle named Sage. They shared a special friendship, spending their days watching clouds drift by and sharing sweet berries beneath the shade of an old oak tree. One warm morning, as golden sunlight painted the meadow in honey-colored light, Cotton and Sage prepared for a very special day, their first day of school. Cotton's whiskers trembled slightly as he carefully packed his tiny backpack with fresh carrots and a soft checkered napkin his mother had sewn. Sage moved slowly and steadily, as turtles do, carrying a leaf green bag that matched the gentle patterns on his shell. Inside, he had packed crisp lettuce leaves and a small jar of morning dew for sharing. The two friends had promised to look after each other on this new adventure. As they walked along the winding path to school, Cotton noticed how the morning breeze carried the sweet scent of wildflowers. Sage pointed out the peaceful sounds of birds singing their morning songs. Together, they felt a little braver with each step they took. The schoolhouse was a cozy hollow in an ancient oak tree with windows that let in streams of warm sunshine and soft moss carpeting the floor. Ms. Dove, their teacher, greeted them with gentle wing waves and a warm smile that made their worried thoughts float away like dandelion seeds in a summer breeze. Inside the classroom, other young animals were finding their places. A family of field mice arranged themselves on a cushion made from flower petals. Two young deer sisters settled near the window, where morning light made their fur glow like autumn leaves. A sleepy hedgehog curled up on a bed of soft leaves, trying to stay awake. Cotton's nose twitched nervously as he looked around the room, but Sage's calm presence beside him helped him feel safe. They found a perfect spot near a patch of sunshine, where they could see the whole classroom while feeling the warmth of the morning light on their backs. Ms. Dove began the day by asking each student to share something special about themselves. When it was Cotton's turn, his voice was barely a whisper, but Sage gave him an encouraging smile. Cotton told everyone about his love for counting stars at night and how he could spot patterns in the twinkling lights above. Sage spoke next, his slow, steady voice filling the room with warmth as he shared his joy in watching clouds change shape throughout the day. The other animals listened with interest, and Cotton felt proud of his friend's peaceful wisdom. As the morning continued, they learned about the changing seasons, about how leaves turn golden and float to the ground in autumn, and how spring brings new flowers to the meadow. Ms. Dove taught them gentle songs about raindrops and sunshine, and they practiced drawing pictures of their favorite places in nature. When it was time for their morning snack, Cotton and Sage shared their carrots and lettuce leaves with their new friends. The hedgehog offered them some sweet blackberries, and the field mice shared tiny seeds they had collected. The classroom filled with the soft sounds of happy munching and quiet conversation. During their rest time, Ms. Dove read them a story about a kind cloud that helped water all the gardens in the valley. Cotton felt his eyes growing heavy as he listened, comfortable on his cushion next to Sage. The turtle's steady breathing reminded him of the gentle waves in the stream near their meadow. In the afternoon, they learned about different types of trees and the animals that called them home. Ms. Dove showed them how to press flowers between pages to preserve their beauty, and how to listen to the stories that the wind whispers through leaves. As the day drew to a close, Cotton realized that his earlier worries had melted away like morning mist in sunshine. He had made new friends, learned interesting things, and felt safe and happy in their cozy classroom. Sage seemed content, too, his eyes peaceful as he carefully packed his belongings. On their walk home, the two friends shared their favorite moments from the day. The path seemed shorter now, familiar and friendly. The setting sun painted the sky in soft shades of pink and purple, while evening birds sang gentle lullabies from their nests. When they reached the spot where their paths separated, Cotton and Sage paused to watch the first stars appear in the darkening sky. They made plans to meet at the same spot tomorrow morning, both looking forward to another day of learning and friendship. That night, as Cotton snuggled into his soft bed of clover, he thought about how wonderful it felt to have a friend like Sage. In his own burrow nearby, Sage tucked himself into his shell, feeling grateful for Cotton's bright spirit and kind heart. The moon rose slowly over the meadow, casting silver light through leaves and flowers. Both friends drifted into peaceful sleep, their hearts full of happy memories from their first day of school, and sweet dreams of the adventures yet to come. In the quiet night, the gentle breeze carried the whispered promise of many more beautiful days ahead, as Cotton and Sage continued their journey of friendship and learning together. On a warm summer morning, as the sun rose gently over the ocean, a small brown rabbit named Cotton lived in a cozy burrow near the shoreline. The soft sand around his home was always warm and pleasant, and the gentle sound of waves helped him sleep peacefully each night. Cotton loved watching the sunrise from his favorite spot on a grassy dune, where the morning breeze would softly ruffle his fur. One peaceful morning, while Cotton was quietly nibbling on some sweet beach grass, he noticed something moving slowly in the distance. It was his dear friend Marina, a wise old sea turtle, making her way along the shore. Marina always moved with such peaceful grace, never rushing, always taking time to appreciate the beauty around her. Cotton hopped down from his grassy perch and gently made his way toward his friend. The warm sand felt wonderful beneath his paws as he moved quietly across the beach. "Good morning, Marina," Cotton whispered softly, not wanting to disturb the peaceful morning atmosphere. Marina smiled warmly at her small friend, her ancient eyes twinkling with joy. "What a lovely morning for a walk along the shore," Marina said in her gentle, soothing voice. "Would you like to join me, dear friend?" Cotton nodded happily, and together they began a slow, peaceful journey down the beach. The morning sun warmed their backs as they walked, while the cool ocean breeze kept them comfortable. As they wandered, Marina showed Cotton all the wonderful treasures that had washed up on shore during the night. There were smooth, polished seashells in soft pastel colors, rounded pieces of sea glass that sparkled like gems, and delicate feathers that had drifted down from passing seabirds. Cotton marveled at each discovery, carefully examining them with his sensitive whiskers. They found a peaceful spot near the water's edge, where the waves gently lapped at the shore. Marina taught Cotton how to listen to the sounds hidden within seashells. "Close your eyes," she whispered, "and you can hear the ocean singing its peaceful song." Cotton held a large spiral shell to his ear and listened intently. The soft whooshing sound reminded him of gentle breezes through tall grass. As the morning stretched into afternoon, Cotton and Marina rested in the warm sand. They watched small sandpipers tiptoeing along the water's edge, their tiny feet making delicate patterns in the wet sand. Seagulls glided peacefully overhead, carried by gentle air currents, while small waves created a soothing rhythm as they washed upon the shore. Marina showed Cotton how to make patterns in the sand using gentle movements. Together, they drew swirling designs that looked like the ocean's waves. The warm sun made them feel sleepy and content as they created their peaceful artwork. Sometimes they would pause just to feel the gentle breeze and listen to the calming sounds around them. As the afternoon slowly drifted by, Cotton and Marina found a comfortable spot in the soft sand, partially shaded by a weathered piece of driftwood. They watched clouds drift lazily across the sky, pointing out shapes that reminded them of peaceful things: fluffy pillows, floating feathers, and gentle waves. Marina shared stories of her long life in the ocean, speaking in soft, peaceful tones about moonlit nights on calm seas and quiet mornings, watching the sun rise over still waters. Cotton listened contentedly, feeling more relaxed with each passing moment. The combination of Marina's soothing voice and the gentle sound of waves made his eyelids feel heavy. As the sun began its slow descent toward the horizon, the sky transformed into soft shades of pink and lavender. The ocean reflected these gentle colors, creating a peaceful palette that stretched as far as they could see. Cotton and Marina sat quietly together, watching the beautiful sunset unfold before them. The evening brought a cool breeze that carried the sweet scent of salt water and beach flowers. Small stars began to appear in the darkening sky, twinkling softly like distant lighthouse beacons. Marina pointed out the evening star, explaining how it helped guide creatures home across the vast ocean. As darkness settled gently over the beach, Cotton and Marina knew it was time to bid each other farewell. They had spent a perfect day together, filled with peaceful moments and quiet joy. "Thank you for sharing this wonderful day with me," Cotton said softly to his friend. Marina smiled warmly and nodded, her eyes reflecting the gentle starlight. They parted ways slowly, Marina making her way back to the ocean while Cotton hopped toward his cozy burrow. The sound of waves followed him home, a peaceful lullaby that made him feel safe and content. Inside his burrow, Cotton made himself comfortable in his soft bed of grass and flower petals. As he drifted off to sleep, Cotton thought about the peaceful day he had shared with his friend. He could still hear the gentle waves in the distance, still feel the warm sand beneath his paws, and still see the beautiful colors of the sunset behind his closed eyes. The memory of this perfect, peaceful day would fill his dreams with joy and tranquility. And so, as the moon rose over the quiet beach, both Cotton and Marina slept peacefully in their homes, one in a cozy burrow in the dunes, the other in the gentle embrace of the ocean. The waves continued their endless symphony, a peaceful lullaby for all the creatures of the shore, under a sky full of